Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're going to be looking at the Mezco 112 Batman tactical suit from the film Justice League. Let's do this. Okay, quickly, some people like a quick look at the box. So here is the front with 112 Justice League logo. On the side, Batman logo, 112 Mezco Toys. On the back, pause that if you want to have a look at it all. And there's the side. Okay guys, let's get on with the actual unboxing and have a look at the figure. Okay, and here he is just straight out of the box. I managed to unwrap all the plastic from him and just put him into a very basic pose, and I swapped one of his hands over with this one holding the batarang. And I have to say, straight out of the box, this is a really nice looking figure. I know I'd love to be able to just rip a new one for this. There's slight inaccuracies here and there, but in all honesty, I really like this guy. I think they've done a bang up job, especially for the scale. I'm very close to saying this is probably the best tactical suit Batman in 112 scale I've seen so far. Mezco are doing some great work at the moment, and I really hope they keep it up. First up, let's just have a quick look at that head sculpt. This is the gritted teeth head sculpt, and I've put a pair of tactical goggles on top of his cowl there. Now the truth is, I'm not going to display him with these on. I'm not a big fan of the goggles themselves. I would have if they'd have done something a little bit more sensible and maybe gone more down the Nightmare Batman look with the goggles, just a little bit more. Whereas these, he looks like a 50s waitress in a diner taking your order type glasses. But as you can see in this head sculpt, it's really nice. You can see that the cowl is separate from the face. You can see the eyes sit back behind the cowl a little bit, and they've been darkened to highlight the whiteness of the eyes. And you can see the mouthpiece got some 5 o'clock shadow on, and that's a little bit slapdash. It's not as even as I'd like, but if we come around, you can still see there's some textures in the cowl there. There's a lot less than, say, a Hot Toy, obviously, but they've managed to even get in the indentations for where the goggles sit, just here. Unfortunately, they haven't painted that, but that is a nice, easy correction. You can easily just get a tiny, thin paintbrush and fill that in with a bit of silver. That'd be really nice. Got some nice lining around the side there. They've even got that part of the cowl, different variant textures. Then you can come see, and you can see there's all the variant of texture around the back, and even some of the notches inside the cowl there. And you come down, you can still see they've got some of the details going down into the neck of the cowl all the way around. And here is the other head, the closed mouth with the goggles down. And here he is with the other head sculpt. The visors are down on this one. And as you can see, it's the same cowl, but they've put a different mouthpiece in there with a closed mouth rather than the gritted teeth. Again, I think I actually prefer the paint application on this one more, but I do actually like the gritted teeth version just a little bit more for that expressive look. As you can see, these goggles go down, and I did have them on the wrong way round last time. So yeah, I had to cut quickly, change them over, and put them back together. And even had to have a look at a couple of pictures just to make sure I was putting them on right. But this is them down. Again, looks okay. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the goggles myself. If you do like the goggles, I think you'll actually be quite happy with how it's turned out on this 112 version. With the cape, they've done a really nice job. As it comes down into the cowl, you can see the cape comes under. They've given you a lot of material here to work with. You can bring this around the back and fold it up, and it's quite malleable. It's reasonably thin. It's got a nice texture on the inside. It's different to the outside, which is a lot more of a shiny, where it's more matte on the inside. And it's quite an easy one to move around. It is a shame that they weren't able to get more weathering and stuff in the bottom here, but that's okay. I can live with that. That's fine. You can easily weather these things anyway. As you can see, there is a lot of fabric. One of the things is it can get a bit bulky. If you bring it over and around, you'll be able to set him back down, and it drapes quite nicely, especially in 112 scale. That's very difficult to do. So yeah, I give them props for making that cape pretty nice. And as we come down and have a look at the armor, we can see that this is incredibly detailed. This is really nice. You can see the body shape is really good. It's really quite in proportions, and you can see the armor thickens it out a little bit and makes it look a little bit bulky, but nothing too dramatic. It actually looks pretty good in 112 scale. And as we come in, you can see all the straps and the buckles go around the sides, come around. There's some nice weathering and notches and damage in the armor itself, including on the bat symbol there. Sort of wrap around, it really fits to the body really well. We come up and underneath, you see it wraps around the back there really good, very nicely detailed. Now, one of the things a lot of people have been saying is the undersuit. The Batman undersuit is a little light coloured. I agree, it's not probably as dark as maybe it should be, but then they were going for a bit more of a tonal lift in the actual movie itself, so I think it kind of works, and also it offsets this darker armour pretty well. As you can see, there's some separation between the over armour and the undersuit, so you can actually differentiate what parts are what. As we come down, you can see the armour on the thighs. Now, this armour on the thighs is actually, I dare to say, fits better on this figure than it does on the Hot Toys. The Hot Toys one sort of pokes out a little bit, a bit more, but this is more shaped towards the thigh there, so it actually is tighter and more hugging to the body. It can sort of stick out a little bit, but it's not as bad as, say, I've noticed on the Hot Toy one. There's some lovely weathering in that armour all the way down into the boots. You see he's got steel toe caps on, and it's a very nice detail in them boots. Now, you may have noticed on the suit there was a little notch on the back of the belt, and that's because it has the ability to fit the Batarang on the back of his belt there. So you can just slot that into place and it will sit there quite firmly, and then you can pull the cape down and he hides it discreetly, which is a really nice touch. It's one of those things that you'll know it's there, but probably no one else would see it. And here he is just holding the grapnel gun, just standing there pretty moody and looking pretty hench. Now we're going to move on and we're going to have a look at all the little accessories that you get with this guy. Obviously you get the second head sculpt. This is the gritted teeth one. I'm going to put that down there, but you get a slew of hands with this one as well. And there's one really nice touch that I really like, and I wish more Batman came with, and that is these Batarang hands. As you can see, this Batarang hand is very, very nice. The detail in there with the knuckles is really good. The crumpling at the gloves there just on the back of the hand, and we have some very nice finger sculpting. Looks really good, and he's even got some protective padding around the palm, and then he's just confidently gripping those Batarangs. Now they may be a little awkward the way he's holding them. They seem to be held like this, sort of inwards, and if you try to get him to throw them, he doesn't look like he's got it leaning back far enough so he can chuck it, which is a bit of a shame, because you really want that Batarang to come back a little bit so he looks like he's actually about to chuck it like a knife. But these are a really nice touch with this tactical Batman, and I really wish Hot Toys had come up with that idea as well, and they have Batarang throwing hands specifically for posing. You get that one, and you get the left as well, so you get left and right on those. You also get a slightly open posing hand that looks like he's about to hold his hands up for some reason. Probably get some other weaponry in there, and a gripping hand. And all of these are very nicely painted. There's not a lot of bleed off from the knuckles there, as you can see. He comes with a left fisted hand. I don't think you can actually get a right fisted hand with this. I can't see one anyway. And he comes with 3 of these Batarangs, and they're all very nicely sculpted. There's even got some lines in there. Quite a nice bit of detail for such a small item. It comes with a wired grapnel piece there. You get a closed grapnel piece there and an open grapnel piece. And these are all very nicely weathered, very nicely painted, and they all fit inside the grapnel gun pretty well. It comes with 3 of these bat bombs. I'm trying to show these as best I can, but they're really diddy. And you can see there's some detail on the top of them there. And you can lie that down and it should stay firmly where it is. 3 of those, really nice, but I don't know if you really needed them. I can't remember the last time anybody ever needed these bat bombs, but it's nice to have them. And he comes with one of the alien guns. I can't even remember their names now. I know the name, but right now it's not coming to me. Comes with it. This is a nice fixed piece. There's no moving parts or anything. Very well detailed, very well sculpted, as you can see. Comes all the way through. Great weathering on there. Handle looks particularly nice, especially in such a small size. Very well detailed. And of course he comes with the usual Justice League stand, and the foot peg is a little bit better than the old ones they used to do. They're starting to improve on those foot pegs, and I'm really glad they are, because it just helps stand them up a little bit better. And you get the articulated action arm. It comes with all Mezco 112 figures. It's really great for jumping poses and any sort of dynamic poses you want to do with them. But he also comes with this additional piece. Goes onto the clear dynamic rod, and this bit holds all of these bits in place. Pop them in and they pose and they move around, and this is to hold his cape up behind him. I find it quite cumbersome. It's nice to be able to have that option, but I won't be using it myself. And of course the lovely Mezco 112 bag to hold all the extra accessories in. should you need it. And here he is in a semi-dynamic pose about to shoot the grapnel gun. Now, as you can see, the arm on the back there kind of holds the cape up anyway if you are interested in doing something dynamic. So you don't always need all those little wires to hold the cape up should you decide to put him in a dynamic pose. But it's a really nice piece. As you can see, he's got some very good articulation. The suit doesn't hinder the movement too much. You can definitely get his arms up around his shoulder height. Then also you've got a little bit of ab crunch in there. You can see you've got double bends in the knees, and you've got the ability to ankle pivot enough to make it look like he's jumping. He's a very, very nice piece. I've been slowly getting more impressed with Mezco over the last year or so with all their different releases, and even when they're disappointing, when you actually look at what they've produced, it's usually pretty nice. Now, there are arguments to be made about their quality of service and their ability to disseminate a PX, because they keep touting out these Mezco exclusives on their website but don't actually have the ability to ship internationally or anything like that. So if you're not in the US, you're literally left to the scalpers to deal with, and that's a little bit unfair, especially when Mezco know there are a lot more people out there who want these figures, and they're getting bigger and bigger. So if they were able to actually produce more and sell them internationally, I think they would get a lot more love. But that's on a diatribe. Let's just get back to talking about Batman Tactical Suit. I really like this guy. The sculpting is fantastic for a 112 figure, as per usual. We get a fantastic looking cape. It's not weathered, but that's not a big deal. He's got a lovely undersuit. The armor is very well painted. There's even been able to manage to get a tiny bit of ab crunch and articulation in the upper torso, which is surprising considering with a lot of these figures, when they've got sculpted torsos like that, you're not getting any sort of bend out of them at all, but you actually get some really nice bending in the knees. You can get him into some dynamic poses if you so wish, but I'm just going to have him standing quite statically, looking pretty cool and looking really moody. But he's got all the options should you need him, and I definitely think if you are interested in a Batman Tactical Suit, you could do a hell of a lot worse than the 112 version. So if you were on the fence, get off the fence. This guy's definitely worth buying if you can find him. I think this guy's going to start selling out very soon in places, so you are going to be left to the scalpers. And that's it, guys. This guy is an 8.5 out of 10. He would have got a 9 out of 10, but obviously there is a little bit of restriction in the ab crunch because of the armor. They could have added a little bit more paint to the cowl to get all those tiny little nuanced details. It wouldn't have been hard to do. We can do it ourselves, but it would have been nice if they did it. It would have been nice to have a little bit more weathering on the cape. And for once, I think this could have really done with the Nightmare Batman Screaming head sculpt. They could have fitted the mouthpiece into the actual cowl itself, and that would have worked really well. Oh, and just to be clear, it can't fit the Ben Affleck 11 head sculpt on there. Unfortunately, it's just the cowl is a little bit too wide at the top to be able to fit onto this figure comfortably. Okay guys, that was it. That was the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and if you could do me a favour now, if you could get the fuck out of my cave, I've still got more videos to make. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye.